All right, guys. Today we're going to be talking about complex numbers. When you have a real number, give me like just a real integer, say like the number 7. 7. Good. All right. And then if we added to 7, let's say 4, and we put the letter I. This would be an example of a complex number. This is the real component, and this component is called the imaginary component. So that's the imaginary number. Whenever you deal with this letter I, we got to figure out where did the letter I come from. Okay? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down here. My board will let me. There we go. All right. I'm just going to do the page. Right here, I want you to put I by itself is equal to the concept of the square root of -1. Now, wait a second. If you were to type in the square root of -1, go to. Oh, there we go. Square root of -1, and I press enter. Look what it says. Error. Non-real answer. You're right. It is not a real answer because it's an imaginary concept. So wait a second. How do we apply this? Here we go. If I say the square root of -36, I want you guys to understand this would break down to 36 times the square root times the square root of -1. The square root of 36 times the square root of -1 is the square root of -36. This times this equals what's inside. So far, so good? Now, by itself, 36 breaks down to what? A 6 times a. So what is the square root of 36? 6. Okay, so the square root of 36 becomes 6. What does the square root of -1 become? What is it?
Square root of -1.
Square root of -1 is I. So this becomes I. So your final answer, everybody, is 6I. That's your final answer for the square root of -36. All right, so let's say you had the square root of -9. That becomes the square root of 9 times the square root of -1. What is the square root of 9? 3. Ooh, what do we now know the square root of a -1 is equal to? I. So therefore our answer is simply 3 times I. Not too bad, huh? Okay. We do one more? See if you guys get the concept? Alright. Go over here. Do a tricky one. Here we go. The square root of -20. That's not a perfect square, is it? 20 is not a perfect square.
No.
But we could break that down into the square root of 20 times the square root of -1. What does the number 20 break down to? What factors? 5 and 4. Ooh, what does 4 break down to? 2 and 2. So right here, what comes out of the radical 20?
4.
No. 2. What does this right here become by itself? That's I. And what do we still have left inside the radical? 5.
Oh my Lord.
So, by the way, everybody, the square root of -20 becomes 2I radical 5. That's the, by the way, it's called simplifying, right? That's simplifying. All right, so let's continue the pattern of I now. So right here, we know that I is equal to what? I is equal to the square root of -1. Next thing we're going to do, I want you guys to write I squared equals, and in parentheses in your journal, I want you guys to write the square root of -1 times the square root of -1. Now, to review how do we multiply radicals together, here's a really easy example. The square root of 2 times the square root of 2 equals the square root of 4 which just basically just becomes a what? Becomes a 2. Okay? So right now, I want you to kind of skip a step. We're going to skip this step. And just say, the square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is 2. What's the square root of x times the square root of x? What's the square root of negative 1 times the square root of negative 1? Negative. So I want you to look at something real quick. You guys see how, hey, whatever number's here, whatever number's right here, that becomes that number. This times this is square root of negative 1 times the square root of negative 1 is negative 1.
So the square root of x cancels.
Right, so there you go. So what is I squared always equal to? When I say I squared, you say negative 1. I squared.
Negative 1 minus 4.
I squared.
Negative 1.
There we go. That's much better. Ah. So, hey, look at that. You guys caused it to rain.
Definitely raining.
You can hear it.
Are you serious?
No.
It was your brain.
No, it's raining.
So hit it.
You just gave it.
All right. Now, I to the power of 3, or I cubed. I want you guys to write the square root of negative 1 times the square root of negative 1 times the square root of negative 1. Now, if you don't like saying the square root of negative 1, you can also say radical negative 1. Okay, here's what I need you to do. Now that you've written this down, I need you to put these two together and think about what is radical negative 1 times radical negative 1 equal to?
Negative 1.
Negative 1, very good.
Yeah.
What is radical negative 1 by itself equal to? I.
Well,
So if we multiply a negative 1 times an I together, everybody, that just becomes a negative I. And that's how you get your final answer. When I say I cubed, you say negative I. I cubed.
Negative I.
And by the way, this is the last one. One student last year like, does this go on forever? I'm like, no.
if it did.
Yeah.
It would be here for like forever.
Yeah.
Until like.
All right, Michael, you're not going to guess what I'm going to do inside of these 4 parentheses. What do you think, Mr. Phillips? What am I going to do inside this? Close. Radical negative 1. Not once. Not twice. Not 3 times, but all 4 times. Here we go. I'm going to pick on 2 people that don't know that they're going to be picked on. Here we go. All right. Kale. What does this right here become? Negative 1. Lions. What does this become?
Negative 1.
George. I love it. There's 3 people. What is a negative 1 times a negative 1? One is correct. That's right. A negative times a negative is a positive. So when I say I to the 4th, you say I to the 4th.
1.
I to the 4th.
1.
There we go. So let's simplify this, everybody. This is why the answers are the way they are. Here's your final set of answers. Ready? When I say I, you say radical negative 1. When I say I squared, you say negative 1. When I say I cubed, you say negative I. And when I say I to the 4th, you say 1. Then everybody, it repeats. I to the 5th, I to the 6th, I to the 7th, I to the 8th, and you can keep going. I to the 9th. I'm not going to, after this one, I'm going to stop. I to the 11th, I to the 12th. You guys notice that 12, 8, 4, what are those all divisible by 4? Sorry, divisible by
4 and 1.
They're all divisible by what? A 4, right? So here's a cool little trick that you guys can do. If you divided all these by 4, would you agree that the remainder would equal a 0 if you divided everything by 4?
Yep.
Okay? Now, if you divided 4 into 5, your remainder would equal a 1. If you divided 4 into 6, your remainder would equal 2. If you divided 4 into 7, your remainder would equal a 3. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, if I go 4 into 5, that goes into it 1 time, right? What's the remainder right here? 1. 4 into 6 still goes into it once. What's your remainder? 2. And 4 goes into 7 one time. But what's your remainder? 3. So what if I gave you like a problem like I to the power of 1,234? What I want you guys to do right now is take 1,234 and divide it by 4 to see if it goes into it evenly. So tell me what you get in the graphing calculator when you do 1,234. Go ahead, tell me that. 308.5. I simply want you to focus not on the 308. I want you to focus on what's left, the remainder. You're like, wait a second, you didn't tell me 0.5. Now here we go. If your remainder is 1, that is equal to 0.25 at the very end. If the remainder is 2, that's going to be 0.5 at the end. Remainder 3, that's going to be 0.75. And if you have a remainder of 0, you're not going to see a remainder. Okay? So, what was our remainder for this particular one? 0.5, which means that puts us right where? Right here. Which row are we in? We're in the what? I squared row. So therefore, what's it equal to? -1. Oh. So let me explain. What is I to the power of 1,234? -1. That's your answer. Okay? I'll do one more. Ready? Try this one. I to the power of 55. And I believe it's one of your problems on your assignment anyway. What are we going to do with 55? Divide it by what? 4. Divide that by 4. Do 55 divided by 4. Quick. 55 divided by 4. Divide by 4. 13.75? 13.75. What are we worried about? We're worried about the 13? No.
What about that? 0.75.
So let's go over here. 0.75 puts me where? I to the third. What is I to the third equal to? -5. Therefore, everybody, I to the 55th power is a -I. That's a strategy you can do every single time. Why do we divide it by 4? Because it repeats after every what? Fourth term. Okay? Or fourth half. Yeah, I'll scoot over. Ready? So make sure in your journal right now, this is what you should have in your journal. If you don't have this in your journal, it's going to make it a lot more difficult than you need it to be. On a quiz or a test, do you think I'm going to do I to the 7th on a quiz or a test? No, I'll probably do I to the 2,452nd or something like that. Why would you do that? Because I need you guys to make sure you know how to apply this habit. I do not want to make you stuff. I just want you to know stuff. Have one of them.
Wow.